What's the best way to train for a 5K, 10K, half marathon, or marathon? Well, I don't know if there's a best way because everybody's different and everybody has different strengths and weaknesses. But when I got back into running in 2017, I initially started just because I loved running. And about a year or so in, I decided I wanted to get a little bit more serious about my running. I wanted to start competing again. I knew I was never going to be as fast as I was back in my 20s, but I thought I still had enough innate ability to be competitive in my age group. The problem was I didn't have 10, 15 hours a week to devote to running like I did back in the day. I wanted something that would allow me to train enough but not spend hours and hours and hours doing it. And so I found a program. Literally did a search on Google for training on minimal hours or something similar to that. And what came up was this: Run Less, Run Faster. It's a book put out by Runner's World Press, but it is based on studies and research that has been done at Furman University in South Carolina by three guys: Bill Pierce, Scott Murr, and Ray Moss. They're exercise physiologists, athletes, marathoners, triathletes, so they are experienced runners and triathletes, and they also are very interested in studying how to train effectively. And this program is based on doing 3 targeted runs per week: an aerobic endurance run, an aerobic strength run or a threshold run, and then some type of track repeats or intervals run. And the concept is that instead of just running to run or logging miles just to log miles, that you concentrate your effort on those 3 key runs a week, and then you fill in the other 4 days with a mix of cross training as well as rest. And when I saw this program, it struck a chord with me. It said, hey, that makes sense. I want to train. I've enjoyed training, the process of training and getting better and following a program, but I didn't want to spend hours and hours doing it. I had no real desire to run 60, 70, 80 miles a week like I did back in high school and in college. So the program made a lot of sense, and I started following it really last year. After I ran this was the 2019 version of the Peachtree Road Race, held every July 4th here in Atlanta. After that, my brother talked me into running a half marathon. So I said, okay, let's go ahead and run a half marathon in March, which was just last month. But I knew that if I was going to be competitive in my age group in that race, I would need to train effectively. So I found this program, the Run Less, Run Faster program, read the book cover to cover, and adopted their training program for the half marathon. Now, what's neat about the book is, like I said, it's based on 3 key runs each week, but the pacing that you run, the pace that you run each of those key runs is based off of verifiable data. In other words, it's based off of an actual performance that you have done. And what they base it on is a 5K effort. Their thinking is that running a 5K is a good distance to test you physically and aerobically, and is short enough that you will run hard, but not so long that it takes an immense amount of training to be able to establish a good time. And once you have a baseline 5K time, everything else for training, whether it's you're training for a 5K, 10K, half, or full marathon, is based off of that 5K time. And then depending on which race distance you are training for, everything is scaled up or down. So in other words, when I was training for the half marathon, the long run each week started off, they're all 12-week programs, and it started off, the long run the first week was 6 miles or 7 miles. And by the end of the 12-week period, the longest long run was 15 miles. And then it scaled back, tapered a couple weeks before the race. For the 10K, which I'm starting this program again for this year's version of the Peachtree Road Race, fingers crossed everything with the pandemic is calmed down enough that racing will be able to resume. So I'm training as if I will be racing on July 4th in the Peachtree Road Race, which is a 10K. So I'm starting another 12-week cycle, which just starts this week. But the long run for a 10K starts off at 6 miles. I just ran that today, actually. And I think the longest one is 8 or 9, because the emphasis on a 10K is you got to run a little faster than, because it's a shorter race, you got to run faster for a shorter period than you do for a half marathon or a marathon. So the training is research based. It is experientially based. They've done surveys and testing of athletes of all ages that have gone through this program. And what they found is if you follow the program of doing the 3 key runs a week, as well as mixing in cross training, stretching, and strength training, a vast majority of people are achieving personal bests. Now, is this the right program for you? I don't know. But what I will say is if you are a non-elite runner, which most of us are, and you don't have hours and hours and hours of time to dedicate towards running, even if you love running, I'm definitely in that group. I love running, but I don't want to spend 10 hours a week doing it. This Run Less, Run Faster program might make sense for you. It's very time efficient, it's running efficient, and what I like about it is what I joke about, my advanced age, I'm 55, the risk of injury goes up kind of almost exponentially the longer you run. The more pounding, the more running you do, that increases the risk of injury. What I found with this program is because the runs are concentrated and you're not spending just hours knocking out miles, I haven't had any injury issues. And I've been very, very happy about that, because as we get older, we have to be more and more careful about making sure we don't overstress our bodies. Our bodies take longer to recover, take longer to heal, so anything we can do to reduce the risk of injury is a good thing. And the Run Less, Run Faster program seems to be working so far for me on that end. So if you are kind of a time-pressed runner and you want to efficiently train for anything from a 5K all the way up through a marathon, I would recommend you take a look at the Run Less, Run Faster training program. There's all kinds of charts and tables. For example, here is the 10K program. I'm just starting week 12, working down. Everything is laid out for you. It's based on real life performance, so you're not just guessing that, gee, I'd like to run a 20-minute 5K, when in reality is maybe you're only physically capable to run a 22-minute. So your training is based on what you are able to run, and then as your training gets better, as you do more training, you should be able to be a little bit faster each and every time. So it's a very well thought out program. I've enjoyed it. It allows me to make good use of my time, to get more fit. I followed it, like I said, for the Atlanta Publix Half Marathon, which was run on March 1st. And I was very, very happy with my results. I felt the program got me the fitness that I needed to perform well in that half marathon. And I got to race day strong and well rested, and I actually did better than I had hoped. I felt strong throughout the entire race, and I was competitive in my age group, which was, for me, is what I'm interested in now, is to have fun and be competitive in my age group, and I definitely was, and I had a better result than I thought I would. So in my book, this book makes sense. So check it out. It's called Run Less, Run Faster. I'll put a link to it down in the description, so you can click on it and get a copy for yourself. Read it, see if it makes sense. It probably will, and if it doesn't, that's okay too. Everybody's different. But take a look at it and let me know what you think. If you've used that program or any other training program, let me know what you're using. I'd be interested to hear what you're doing yourself. So leave the comments down in the section below there. Subscribe and like this if you like what you're seeing. The more people we can get involved, the better. And until next time, be well.